天我寒夜里看雪飘過，還在冷卻了的心窩飄遠方。This is the Learn Cantonese Fast channel again. Today I'm going to talk about the Cantonese related to the vocabulary or the sentences that you may encounter when you are eating at a Chinese restaurant. So before you can go to a Chinese restaurant, you have to be able to learn at least a little bit of Cantonese, because a lot of, especially for the local, very local Chinese restaurants, the people or the waiter or the waiters or waitresses there, or even the manager, they will not be able to speak they will not be able to speak English. So you need to learn some basic Cantonese in order to order something. So let me start by talking about some Cantonese nouns. Right? So Chinese restaurant is actually 酒樓. 酒 is wine or liquor. 樓 is a building. Right? So so in the old days it's used as a place where you can eat and drink at the same time. So that's why it's called 酒樓. Right? Chinese restaurant is 酒樓. Right? 酒樓. And then a waiter in a Chinese restaurant is called a 伙計. 計 is record. 火 is to cook using fire. Okay, 伙計. Okay, so the person who is recording the dishes, the different dishes or different entree or anything like that. Okay, so waiter is 伙計, 火 計 計 伙計. Okay, 燈 Okay, the sixth tone. So it's the second tone and third tone. And then the menu is the 餐牌. 餐 is a meal. 牌 is a sign. Okay, so pai is a menu is a something like a sign for recording different meals of different dishes. Okay, 餐牌, 餐牌 牌 餐牌 餐牌. A toy is a table. A toy is a table. Toy 位 is a seat. Okay, 位 Okay, so 位 is a seat. Right, sometimes 位 can also mean the space occupied by the person. It's also a 位. Right? Sometimes we use 座位 to denote seat. Right? 座位. So 位 can be either a seat or the space occupied by a person. And then if you want a table for 5 people, for example, right? So you want a 5-person table. How to say it in Cantonese? Right? A table. 張台, 張 is the quantifying unit. 一張台 5 person, 5人 人 is person, 5 is 5, 一張5人台. Or you want a 4-person table, 一張4人台. Okay? 4人 5人 6人. Okay? So depending on the number of people you want. Right? 一張 how many people 台, okay? So on and so forth. And if you want a large table, normally a large table in a Chinese restaurant can hold at least maybe 10 to 12 people. Okay? We call it 一圍台. 圍 means surrounding. Okay? So you have a large table with a lot of people surrounding the table. That's why we call it 一圍台. Okay? You can, if there is no such thing as a 一圍台 in the restaurant, you can ask the waiter whether they can open a new big table. And we call it 開一圍台, open, right? 開一圍台. Or sometimes we call it 一張大台, right? 一張大 means big, right? 一張大台 or 一圍台 is okay. 一圍台. And in a restaurant, the first thing a waiter will ask you is, what kind of tea do you want? Tea, 茶. Right? There are different kinds of teas in Hong Kong. There are southern teas, there are northern teas. Right? So 普洱 is actually a very southern tea. Right? But I searched on the internet, it's called 普洱. 普洱 is actually the Mandarin of this tea. Right? But then I don't think they're respecting the Hong Kong people or southern people, because 普洱 is actually a southern tea. Normally only southern people will be drinking this kind of tea, but then they use Mandarin. Right? But anyway, the correct name for this kind of tea is called 普洱. 普洱, 普洱. Right? 普洱 is different from green tea or any kind of tea, because pole is considered as a black tea or a red tea, just like Hong Cha, it's just like the British red tea, Hong Cha. It's kind of red tea. Right? It's kind of red tea that has been fermented twice. Right? That's why it's less bitter. Right? So the Cantonese people will like this kind of tea very much because it's less bitter. And then we have Mut Lei. Mut Lei is a jasmine tea. Mut Lei is another kind of tea, which is not really that bitter. But then the most bitter kind of tea is actually something like Hyang Pin. Hyang means with a very good scent. Right? Pin means the leaf blade has some good smell. Right? So that's why it's called Hyang Pin. Hyang Pin is actually pretty northern, right? So it's not really a southern tea, right? But then it's also really not that northern, because north of Guangdong, most people drink this kind of tea. It's called Hyang Pin. Hyang Pin. Hyang is like Hyang Gong, right? Hyang smells good. Pin is the blade. Hyang Pin. And the other kind of tea, which is also, well, by the way, Hyang Pin is a green tea, just like the Japanese green tea, but it's not that kind of Japanese green tea. It's a Chinese kind of green tea. Hyang Pin. And then Long Jiang. Long is dragon. Jiang is the well. Right? It's also a kind of green tea, Long Jiang. Right? And then another famous kind of southern tea is called Gok Po. Right? Po is exactly Po Lei, but then on the top of Po Lei, they also added some dandelion flowers. Right? That makes it smells even better. Right? So that's what that kind of tea is called Gok Po. Gok Po. Gok Po. And then if you ask the waiter for a fork or a knife, a knife is dou. I think we have talked about this in another episode. A dou. And fork is cha. Dou cha. Right? So you may want to ask for dou cha. 唔該 dou cha right? For example, you want to ask the waiter for dou and cha instead of chopstick. Chopstick is 筷子，筷子，筷子。Or you may encounter something like a tong gang, which is not exactly a tablespoon or teaspoon, because this is considered as a Chinese kind of spoon, which is larger and is made of porcelain. Right? We call it tong gang. Tong gang is for drinking soup. Right? That's why it's called tong gang. Tong is soup. Tong gang. And deep. Right? Deep is a dish or plate. We call it deep. And a bui. If it is used for drinking tea, we call it cha bui. It's the tea cup, or just bui. If it is made of glass, we call it 玻璃杯. So it's a bui. And then dim sum. Dim sum is the luncheon. Or sometimes we call it dim sum. Dim actually is called dim sum. Dim sum. And then an entree in Cantonese is 小菜. Xiu chai. Xiu means small, chai means vegetable, but actually it need not be vegetable. It can be meat or tofu or any kind of thing. We call it 小菜. It's a dish of entree. And then fan is the cooked rice. Fan. The fifth tone. And zhuk is congee. Zhuk is the very watery rice, which is normally eaten by southern people. We call it zhuk. Zhuk. And then we have rice noodles. 米粉. Mai is rice. Fan is powder. So here it refers to the noodles that is made from the white rice flour. The rice flour noodle, we call it 米粉. The rice flour, we also call it 米粉. So it's kind of ambiguous. But then in the restaurant, when you order 米粉, they know it is rice noodles. And then tong min is a soup noodle, or the English-speaking people call it noodle soup. Because we have noodles, but then we have a soup base. It's called tong min. Tong is soup. Min is the noodles. Tong min, 米粉湯麵粥飯. Sometimes we call it 粥粉麵飯, or 粥 congee. 粉 米粉is rice noodles. Min is the wheat noodles. Fan. So all four types combined together, we call it 粥粉麵飯. 粥粉麵飯. And then we also have a fried rice noodles or wheat noodles. Right? 炒粉麵, right? 粉 means powder, but then here 炒粉麵 actually here the 粉 means 米粉 or the rice noodles. Right? 炒粉麵 it means fried rice noodles and wheat noodles. 炒粉麵. Okay, so you can ask the waiter for what kind of 炒粉麵 you want. Okay, or you can ask the waiter which kind of 炒粉麵 is better or something like that. And then we have 湯.湯 is soup. 湯. And then, for example, we need to use the word 唔該 a lot. Okay, so for example, you want to ask a favor from the waiter. You want to order something. Always say 唔該. Okay, 唔該 is very commonly used, not just in a restaurant, but in almost everywhere, even on a bus and so on and so forth. 好食嘅嘢, 好食 is tasty. 嘅嘢, the stuff that is 好食. Right? 好食嘅 means apostrophe s. Right? 好食嘅嘢. Right? And 埋單 is to check. 埋單 單 is the bill. 埋 means bury. Right? In Cantonese, we also have something known as 埋數. Right? So for example, if you have a store at the end of the day, you want to calculate your revenue, you want to take stock, we call it 埋數. So is the calculation or the amount. Right? 埋數 means we close the amount, we calculate the terminating amount. Here it's the same thing. 埋單 means, well, I finished eating, I want a bill. Right? That kind of bill is called 埋. That is denoted by 埋單. Right? So I want to terminate everything and get the bill, which is 埋單or check, please. Right? So Cantonese sentences we need. Right? For example, when you first go into a local Chinese restaurant, you say 伙計, which refers to the waiter. Right? 伙計 or 伙計 or 唔該伙計, or 唔該 means please. Right? 伙計, or if you encounter a lady or waitress, you call her 小姐 instead of 伙計. Right? 伙計 normally refers to a guy. You can still call a waitress 伙計, but it's not that polite. We call it 小姐, which is more polite. Or the manager. Right? If someone is wearing a suit, then we refer the person as a manager. 經理, right? 小姐, 經理, 伙計. Right? And you ask for a table. Right? Is there any table? 有冇台啊? 有 means have, 冇 means have not. 台 is the table. Is a question, right? So refers to a question, okay? So 有冇台啊? So you're asking the waiter whether there is a table. 有冇台啊? 伙計有冇台啊? Or 小姐有冇台啊? Or 經理有冇台啊? And then the person will ask you, the waiter will ask you, how many people? And you may say 5, please. Okay. So how many people? 幾位? 幾位 actually means 幾多位, or how many? 幾多位? Again, 位 means here means how many.位here is the quantifying unit for customers, right? 客人 or 人客, right? 幾多位? 幾多位 means how many customers. 幾位, right? We don't even need to mention person here. Okay, we just say how many in terms of the quantifying unit. 位, right? How many 位? 幾位? You will say 5位. Okay, so there are 5 person. Right? 位 here again is the quantifying unit. 5位啊, 唔該. Right? Again we say 唔該. And do you mind sitting with other people? Sometimes, especially for local restaurants, you may need to share a table with other people when there is no additional space. Right? So sharing table, 搭台. 搭台, 台 is the table. 搭 actually means riding. Okay? It's like a free rider. 搭台 means you have to share the table with other people. So the waiter will ask you, well, do you want to share with other people? Or you say, he will say 搭台得唔得? It's asking for your opinion whether it's okay or not okay. 得 is okay, 唔得 no, not okay. And you may say 冇問題. Means oh yes. 冇問題. There's no problem. 冇 having none, problem 問題. In any case, I'm running out of time. So if you want to learn more about the different situations and different sentences in a Chinese restaurant, please visit my website www.freehongkong.net. I'll see you next time. Bye.